Шановні учасники, добрий ранок. Ми запрошуємо всіх до зали. Можете брати каву, чай. І ми будемо потихеньку розпочинати. Я нагадую, що безпека – це найважливіше, що є зараз у нас. І ви всі знаєте, що зараз у нас об'явлена повітряна тривога. Тому є така пропозиція.
You can see the door is open, the bomb shelter is to the left and to the right, and if you don't feel safe enough and you feel anxious, you can go there. As organizers, we undertake the responsibility to monitor the situation, and if there is an increased level of danger, we will suggest that everyone goes to the bomb shelter, but we will continue our work now, if you don't mind.
Погоджуєтеся?
I hope you agree. Thank you. This is an important issue, and we have to emphasize it. Now we start the first part of our workshops, and we are happy to welcome here our colleagues who came from different countries. I'm talking about the Czech Republic, United States of America, Austria, Slovakia, Germany. Every country had its own experience of resolving different problems, and the representatives are ready to share this experience with us. The topic of the second day of our Congress is international experience, and we are going to talk today more about peer-to-peer support. We shall discuss how it was in different countries, what are our prospects, what issues we should particularly address. Therefore, it is my great pleasure to welcome here, and I invite to come on the stage our first speaker, Mr. Christopher. He comes to us for the second year running from Austria, and his experience is a unique one because it combines art, culture, and communities, and people, vulnerable people who have certain stories, and we shall see what kind of lessons we can learn from the European practice.
Nice to be again here, and I'm excited to be invited the second time to speak about or for people with the experience mental ill health. I would like to have my slides, please.
Включіть, будь ласка, слайди.
Please have the presentation on.
Ранок суботи завжди такий. Вже трошки вихідний, тому...
Well, it's a Saturday morning. This is the weekend, and we are waiting for the slides.
So you all see the title about my presentation today. I was asked to speak this year more about peer support and how maybe could be a peer support system developed in Ukraine and also established. Last year, Andre Franzi spoke also about peer support. This year, I want to go more, try to go deeper in the topic and in understanding how peer education should be, or how like the professional relationship are set up. For for me, just to start, yesterday you heard a lot about peer support from veterans to veterans. This topic I speak here about, it's peer support in the mental health, and especially peer support work. So it's not like a voluntary job people do, they all get paid. For comparing, it's about 2,500 euros and brutto, like, and the average is around 2,800. So it's a little bit more than the average salary in Austria that people with lived experience that get paid. And the main thing is about peer support, that they are working with their experience and support other people with their experience and knowledge. So this is not only about veterans, also about other diseases they experienced. This picture is taken out from the WHO report. So this is also the second question, or for me, why we should do peer support. Yesterday you heard a lot speaking, Professor Graham Thornycroft, about some reasons what we have to change in the psychosocial care system. This is also one part of it. You see, like, there's a lot of literature beginning from 2023, starting with the peer, like with the advocacy. Why should advocacy? Is advocacy necessary? And also a lot of literature from promoting mental health services, like peer support and promoting person-centered and right-basis approach. This is also a good online tool for trained peers. For me, it's the question often, it's really in a good way, only online, only to listening, to learn about what is peer support. So our experience is we have to teach also in presence, to be in groups, to see what the real effects are in the immediate interaction happened inside the training, and also then in future in practice. Other literature mentioned here about, you heard yesterday about the music tool kit to end stigma and discrimination and mental health. Here's also one part, people are a part in education against stigma, and also and the main reason is peer support. It's one of the big topic to reduce stigma in the organization and also for clients. I want to go further to make a more step to Ukraine. In Ukraine, like this written also in the Ukraine private multisectoral mental health and psychosocial support action during and after the war, and the operational roadmap about the community mental health teams. So as you can see, the community mental health teams are described here with a psychiatrist, psychologist, social worker, now nurses. And what is left here? Here's no peer support worker, as you can see. But when you read exactly, then it should be after the war. I don't know, it's possible to wait for it. Maybe it's better to start now to train people, to start with peer support. It's written also that you have to introduce, or it should be good to introduce peer support counselors in the provision of mental health services, and also like for build up more capacity in the training. And make a step to Austria, what happened in Austria when it's not like the perfect situation we have here in Austria, so we don't have like a law for the profession in Austria. People since 10 years are working in different organizations, in hospitals and NGOs and aftercare centers, so in different organizations like from the state, and also like on levels they're not governmental, but as you can see, they're good, well paid. For example, social worker in Austria worked till 30 years. They have no job description in law, like they have no paying possibility, but they get paid really good well. And last year, they got the law. So sometimes you have to start an initiative, start to invest in new concepts, and this is like we do in Austria with peer support. We are actually in good contact. I'm also in the Federal Advisory Board for Mental Health, and we are in good conversation with the people from the other ministries and from the Ministry for Health and Social to implement this law that people can legal work in this field. So I want to go now from the topic I was invited to speak about more deeper. So I think about my time. I didn't have a lot. The clock don't count down, so I can feel free. What are the main topics? We have here the fields of work, also the professional relation building, implementation of peer and peer preparation for employment, and also the training. Today, I want only to speak about the professional relationship building and the implementation of peers. Maybe I can come to the preparation for employment because fields of work are a little bit different. It depends on the country and the system inside the country. So you have to analyze completely the system. I don't have a good view in the system in Ukraine, so I can show you where it's maybe a good start, but what I heard about maybe in NGOs, because people with mental health experience often didn't have higher education, what it's like necessary. I heard about to work in the governmental part. But if you can see in the fields of work, it's not only the peer support work in the direct contact with the patient and the client, you also work as a peer educator, you also work as a peer researcher, sometimes called like a citizens, scientists. Also you're active within the public relations for workers in other areas. They're quite huge and quite a lot of field for this. And some word about the training. Trainings are different. There are a lot of trainings. Actually, WHO observe some countries and try to make a curriculum, a good curriculum for peer training. So we have to wait. There are several training formats, different lengths. Some are only 6 weeks, some 1 year, some 2 or 3 years. So you really have to think about, we in Austria also in discussion with the government, how many hours, which content should be inside the curriculum. But it's not official what we will do in future. Yes, I just want to go further to the topic of the professional relationship building, especially for the function and effects inside the professional relationship building. And there is 3 big topics about the immediate contact exchange with the employees and the cooperation with the organization. And when you see, like, I don't know exactly how good you introduced what veteran peer support is doing and what it's like happened inside the immediate contact, but in the mental health peer support worker, it's one of the main topic that this peer support worker are the bearers of hope, and also they are that they can show the patients, the clients, different paths of recovery. And one of the main things is that the peer support workers can work with authentic knowledge, that people can came and build a connection and accept the treatment from other professions like psychiatrists or psychotherapists, psychologists, or social care workers. So I think this is one of the main things. As you can see here, it's a long list what the immediate contact can do all of these things, also want to invite you later to join the workshop. Yeah, when you have questions about this, we can have several types of role plays, or we can answer question for these things. One I want to mention, because it came later in the next slide, about the same language. So people who receive mental health crisis, they often don't use to have difficult language, and so they are more easy to come in contact with people they received also actually these mental health issues. And so they can be used as a translator because they understand not only the spoken language, also maybe what's behind the meaning, what it could seems like when a person starts to speak like in neologism, like in new words there not exist. It's like one symptom of schizophrenia, or also could be a part inside depression or inside dementia. So these people have a deeper understanding what's going on in other, and can be a translator to the team you're working in. And so the treatment, it's more effective. Also, and this functions like this, or it came to the function of bridging, that these people are more connected, as I mentioned before, and also they are a good advocate. There are different kinds of how people can be the peer support worker to educate the patients or the clients. One of a serious thing is, and it's stepped in 3 stages. So like other professions, there's a high privacy about what is spoken in between the talk to each other. And you ask the person if you heard about there is some necessary information, the team member or the doctor or psychiatrist, nurses or whatever should hear this information, and you offer the people first or you try to empower this person, the client, to speak, to go to the team by themselves and speak about this topic. If you try this and this patient is too shy or not able to have enough power by themselves, so you ask them to go together and just stay next to the person and support him with your presence, that you empower the person, that they have enough power to speak about the topic that's necessary. Is also this situation not possible, then you invite the person to come with him, not only stand with him, just support him in pronouncing what they want to tell. The next level also, and it's not possible, then you together speak into like a doctor or other professions. And the last level, if this all is not possible, then you take the message to the team. So, but the priority is that you empower the person, that the person do this step. So the last option I mentioned, you shouldn't do, but sometimes information is also necessary, you have to tell. And you ask every time to put this information further. I think this is one of the main differences, and it's depending on the organization. So some organizations say like this approach we like to implement. Others says you are not allowed to keep privacy. You tell everything. You talk with the patient. So in every organization, you have to take a look how open they are to keep the privacy from their patients and from the clients. Okay. You see, like you could talk long things only about this one topic. So, but what it's about the organization, the cooperation in the organization, it's especially for individualization, the support, and here it means like people, mental health, peer support workers know during the talk what really keep going the people, what resources they had, because in this direct contact, this open speaking, they receive more information. For example, I also received in past a mental health ill crisis, and I was diagnosed like a chronic patient, and I think people don't was used to support people like this. They put it away in some bigger institutions, and but just to mention you, everybody who know such people, and you think about came again and again in psychiatry, so maybe they're not able to recover. So if you start to think this, you don't give hope, you don't give trust. So you recover, you build up more recovery yourself, and also about to the client. When you say like sorry. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm skip. Also, like what is necessary, the impulses for quality assurance. So I know, like in organizations, people came inside and see about the structure, how it's built up, how people get supported, which levels of participations are able or not. So this is also a main part to implement the people and take this view from outside. This is a great chance to reorganize your organization, more person-centered, more client-centered. One of the main topics is also about the understanding of roles from the peer support workers to the staff members. So it's interesting for me, like that, yeah, so it's like no self-responsible teammates, or like there are no, you don't have someone who take a look on. Sometimes in organizations you say like, doctor have to take care for the new peer support worker because maybe they get ill, maybe in the way he's working, he get more, he brought more problems to the clients, he brought more problems to the patients, so take care of him because we want to keep our patients healthy. But evidence show it is all not true. The people can work independently, in the best case together to support each other. And when I take a look on the time, I want to go more further. There are too much of topic I see now. You have here some core competencies. It's a long list. I just want to see like what is the same everybody use in the mental health sector. It's like this active listening. This also should be a core competence for people who work as a peer support worker, because they, some of them, as you know, maybe some clients are not able at this time when you speak with them to keep silence. They interrupt the whole time. So as like a professional peer support worker, this person should get a possibility to change in the direction, to have the competence of active listening, because we want to not to influence too much the patient and the clients, because yeah. Other core competences are, you see, like one just to pick up some things for participating self-care. So for me it's like one also of the main reasons. And then I saw like my time it's still over, so I just want to mention some big things I was taught, like the areas of work and about job description, what is good. I can go too deep now. As you see, there's a lot of stuff it should be get told. Maybe I came to the point to make a conclusion for summarize. What are the benefits of peer support? And as you remember, I talked about it can be used in many types of symptoms for mental health diseases. And it supports like you can promote or the recovery, or you can improve the recovery for the patient. And especially inside the collaboration with the team, you can help people, support people with different issues, and not only veterans, also about citizens, because the field is broad, and also many people, as I hear, receive depression or anxieties because they are not at the front line, but they are family members or children. And one of the main things I tried to tell you, the authentically applied experience knowledge creates a connectedness that leads to acceptance and treatment. So I think this is one of the main thing why peer support workers are effective. This is the gap from professional to people who really received mental health illness, and if they connect to these people, they connect also to the professions. So I think this is the main thing why peer support is working, and close the mentioned treatment gap from yesterday. And at the last, the culture and the mindset get changed inside the team and toward the patient, so it reduces stigma inside the institution. And just for my last example, peer support was tried to implement in Austria at the first time in a hospital. And the first question, I don't have the chance now to talk about implementation, but you asked before, you came with the team together, and then the question was from the team members, which toilet should the peer support worker use? The toilet from the patients or the toilet from the staff members? So these are some curious questions when you start to implement peer support workers. Thank you.
Дякуємо, пане Крістофере.
Thank you, Christopher. Please stay on stage with us. Dear participants, I would like to remind you that the Congress continues according to the agenda, and I would like to remind you that we keep monitoring the security situation because we have different degrees of danger, and in case it's high danger, we will inform all the participants and suggest that we all move to the bomb shelter. If you feel not comfortable, or if you don't feel safe, you can go to the bomb shelter. They are to the right from the exit of the rooms. So thank you for your understanding. Continuing the topic of peer-to-peer support, I would like to give the floor to Jenna Stein and also all speakers who will continue. Pavel, San Peter, I invite everyone to come up on stage. Joanna will speak about training of facilitators and leaders of such peer-to-peer groups in the Ukrainian context. The topic of her speech is peer-to-peer groups for the widows of those killed in action.
Peter, Oksana, please. Попрошу таймер включити, коли
And please start the timer when the presentation starts.
And welcome to this session on developing peer mentors and peer groups for the wives of service members who died in the front as heroes. My name is Joanne Steen. I'm American by birth, Ukrainian by nationality. I am also a war widow. My first husband was killed in the line of duty many years ago. Since then, I have worked with widows, and I've gone on to study the very difficult subject of grief, specifically the grief of military family members who have lost a hero. I had the opportunity back in 2024 to cooperate with Natalia Pidaruk, Joshua Kreimeier, and myself to put together a model for training these women to be able to take their lived experiences plus additional understanding of grief to help others. The response has been overwhelming. Okay, just a quick overview of what we've done. In 2024, the first thing we did after we decided to move forward was to screen our wives of fallen service members for their suitability to be mentors. And I'll explain these as we go through the other slides. The second thing we did in 2024 was to conduct an intensive in-country 4-day training for them. We realized that we could not just leave them when we went back to the States, so we continued to provide intensive training via Zoom. In 2025, we held an additional, basically 10 weeks more of meetings of Zoom. We met, come back here, just this past Thursday, we met with these women. And we saw their progress, we saw their growth, we saw their enthusiasm, and quite candidly, we saw some of their reservations to move forward with helping others. That's completely normal. And I'm happy to say, while we were here, we met the second group of women, and we have begun to start the process of helping them to become peer mentors. This one, right?
наступний слайд, будь ласка.
Okay, here's the process we used. Everyone has their own unique way of forming peer mentors. This is what we did. We used what's called a professional training model, and our goal, and that is Natalia, Joshua, and myself, our goal with creating these mentors was to be able to increase their confidence through knowledge and experience, and also their skills, confidence and skills, for them now to provide help to others. Each of the approaches we choose, what we chose was to focus on these 4 areas, and I'll go into each by detail.
Наступний.
Okay. The first one was to screen the wives of the war heroes. What we meant by this was, first of all, to group them all as wives. If any of you who have experience with having grief groups with both wives and mothers, you know that that's a difficult process. So we wanted all wives, same person who died, different relationship, different love. The next thing we wanted was to group them by the type of death. We wanted all combat deaths in this group because it's a shared experience, and very often it's an unspoken experience. The second thing we did was we realized, and this is a worldwide phenomenon, but most of our experience with grief comes from lived experiences, either the deaths we've had in our family or the deaths of those we've seen in the public media. I have been studying grief for the last 30 years, both with individuals and also by textbook. And there have been significant advances, improvements, shall I say, in the field of grief that is now current for helping those who are faced with the death of a loved one. My specialty is in the second bullet there, complex wartime grief. It is a very complex and small segment of grief, but it is one that I learned by experience needs to be understood, okay, in order to provide the most effective help. One of the approaches in this new look at grief is to see grief essentially not as just these intense emotions, but grief is a part of healing. Let me say that again. Grief is a part of healing. And as we see here, we have three key elements of this. The first is to survive the loss of the husband. Okay. The second part there is to work through the grief. And work is a key word here. The active process of working through grief is a part of healing. I can spend the next 8 hours talking about this, but I'm sure that doesn't fit into the schedule. Okay? But remember, the key to take away is grief is a part of healing. Our next key point with this assessment was to take these wives who are now becoming a team as they interact with each other, and to help them to develop key group leader skills. Key skills. We all here have worked in the field. We know about active listening. We know how to give back to the individual what we have heard. We have all had sometimes group members who required more help or some specific need. So we showed them how to deal with this. We also included, when there comes a time, to look for the behaviors, the indications, the signs that says maybe this is time that this person would be better helped with individual support. All these, as I said, all these are very learned skills. We also spent time with them going over what are good phrases, what are good words to use to help these women to respect their grief, respect their loss. We respect the losses that they've had, to respect their loss, and then to walk with them as they go through this process of healing, which is grief. And just a moment here, and again, this is my subject, so I actually get excited when I talk about grief. Here's an example. We talk about grief and we think of intense emotion. But yet, if you talk to the wives or the mothers, they will tell you grief also comes in small, everyday things, such as when you realize your loved one is not sitting across from you at the table, or when you go into a store to buy food and you realize you don't have to buy his foods. The feelings that produces are all a part of grief, and they're normal. The last thing we did as part of this peer mentor development, okay, was to foster teamwork among the women that we worked with. And when you see them together now, they have a bond with each other. not only on a shared loss, but also on this shared experience of moving forward. We will notice here the words that are here: alive, unbroken, invincible. These were all words that these women used to describe themselves and to describe this group. Powerful words. We want them to feel a part of a team and a part of a larger identity, and we are working with them to help develop a logo, an identifier for them. So they are not just one peer mentor, but they are a peer mentor from a group of many. Going back to Natalia, to Joshua, and ourselves, this was our mission with these women. It was our mission with this woman to speak through and identify the stages they go through. And every military wife who has lost a war hero will tell you, even though a death occurred, they still think of themselves as a wife. And that's normal. That's not something that should raise issue with you. It's normal. But what they go through is wife, okay, to the word widow, which nobody likes that word all across the world. And then to become, help them to become a woman of their own right. They have strengths that they don't even know they have yet. We've helped them develop. And I saw a card back at IPSI that stuck with me. It says, courage, okay, is not the absence of fear. Courage is seeing that fear, feeling that fear, and choosing to move forward. That's real courage. So our wives, widows now, we see them coming back. We see them as they progress on this journey. What do we look forward to? We're not done. As we move forward, we went back and we looked at our training model and said, did it work? What was our assessment? What went well? What do we need to maybe find another way to work out? We're looking to establish more peer-to-peer training groups. And it's essential to continue with the psychological support and grief psychology training, especially in a time of active war, whether you have personally lost a war hero, or you're living in an environment where your safety is a threat. It becomes important to understand that grief psychology and how it affects you. With our group of wives, we felt in helping them to become peer mentors, we also had to help them to address their grief. I can't say it enough. Grief is a part of healing. So this is our overview. We have begun. We welcome your comments. Write to us, please. Welcome your comments, welcome your questions. Don't be afraid to contact Natalia at IPSI, Joshua Kreinmeyer, or myself, and to help you all, okay, to move forward in this endeavor. Slava Ukraini.
Дякую, Джоанна.
Thank you very much, Joanna. And I would like to add a couple of words on my part, that this is the project that we would like to implement in the communities, and actually the new group is already not from our city but from different communities, and we do hope that this project will help people in those places, in those cities and villages where women do not have direct access to psychologists or psychiatrists, and they actually do not always need it, because this peer-to-peer support is something that may prevent different mental health disorders in the future. Therefore, we just study this experience of Ukraine. Now, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Pavel Richin, who is a sociologist and a teacher, a director of the Center of Mental Health Development in the Czech Republic. And his topic is a bit provocative: how easy it is to make it right. And I think that what the Czech Republic has done is similar to what Ukraine is doing now. Therefore, reformation of the institutions is one of the new challenges for us. So we would like to hear how it happened in the Czech Republic, how it was possible, and this is the topic of our colleague from the Czech Republic.
Fine. It's hard to continue after Joanna. Maybe I can say that. Well, I'm coming from the Czech Republic. I wanted to tell you that what you are going through is it's very much present in my country. We have the experience with Russian occupation, and we are following news. So there are many people between my friends who are giving a lot of money every month, and we are somehow feel very much connected with what's happening here. And maybe it's part of my story as well, coming here, trying to be of some help. What I want to talk about is sharing our experiences with the DI process, with transforming and changing and closing institutions, after all. So, I'm not sure how this works. Yes, now it works. Czech Republic, population 10 million. We are an EU member for more than 20 years now. Beautiful country, which I love. We have, this is one of the pictures. Oh, no, it's too fast.
Попередній слайд,
How
будь
can I
ласка.
operate it? This way, it's only slow. Okay, this is the house where I lived in Prague for several years. It's next to the Prague Castle. It's a very beautiful place. And as you see, we have very many beautiful historical buildings like this castle. And what is the next slide? No, it's not. Yes, now. So we have also other castles which are used for care of people. And we have this institutional traditions. It's something maybe we have in common. It was especially in western part of Ukraine, as we were part of the same Hungarian-Austrian Empire. So the architecture is very similar. When you come to Lviv, you see the psychiatric hospital. It's really very similar to our psychiatric hospitals. And what we have, we really have institutions. Some of us are not very happy with that, and there is, I will speak about it more. But we have not only hospitals placed in these historical buildings, but we have also beautiful historical buildings which serve for care of people. So yes, we have institutions, and we are trying to work with that. Okay. Maybe it will be better. Yeah. What is the legal framework, or what is important to mention here? That there is Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disability, especially Article 19. Orest Suvalo mentioned it already yesterday. It's a really important article. This convention was ratified by Czechia, it was ratified by Ukraine, and moreover, your government issued just recently a strategy for reforming psychoneurological residential institutions in Ukraine. So this is really very important, and the legal interpretation of this convention is sometimes called DI article, because it actually means that governments are obliged to close institutions sooner or later. So it's legally binding. Yeah? So it's not like some concept or innovation. It's legally binding to close institutions for people with disabilities. And this is also something what is efficient, and you can use it while communicating with your government, because Ukraine signed Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and there is Article 19, and it's quite clear what it means. Yes, there are some numbers which need some interpretation. In Czechia, we were successful in reducing beds in most of the institutions. We also were able to increase number of beds in community sheltered living facilities. On the other hand, we have, as a country with very good healthcare, very good social care, so we have increasing number of beds for people with Alzheimer's disease. So it's the problem of our developed society. And a small problem of our government is that they are not able to distinguish between people with dementia and people with chronic mental health conditions. So it's why the numbers are not available on the governmental level. What I wanted to share with you is some experiences, because we in our organization with our colleagues, we are involved in changing institutions and transforming institutions for many years already. And so this is one example which can serve as a model, and we hope it will serve as a model. It was a castle, and it is a castle, but now it serves for sightseeing. You can come there, you can visit. But it was used as a home care, as a care institution for people with mental health conditions. And what happened? The original name of the institution was Home on the Castle, or at the Castle, and now it's Home on the Road. Yeah? So this is significant change of the name, but also of the approach, because they actually changed everything. It took 5 years. All 33 men and women who lived there left the castle. There was a range of services built up and created. And at the moment, the capacity is higher than it was when people were staying in the castle. What happened that we used the care model to work with people and with the team, so that it was very individual support, and it had very good results, because people were supported in their strength, and workers were trained to discover how to work with people, to discover their strength. And we did evaluation, and it showed that the transformation was successful. People who left the castle were more satisfied, much more independent. There were 2 temporary problems, nevertheless. One problem was with the community, because people were leaving from the castle to a small town nearby. And there were protests against this process, so that local people just didn't want to have these dangerous, or what they thought are dangerous neighbors. but it was possible to work with that, luckily, and now the situation is stabilized. And another problem was when these people's clients who lived in the castle, they moved to sheltered living facilities, and they started to live more independently. And there were new issues, and there are legal guardians, because some of these people had legal guardians, and suddenly they had to solve new problems, like with money, with independence, with new wishes of people who were now much more independent and wanted to try new things, wanted to travel somewhere, for instance. So it was some more work for legal guardians, what was not expected. Before it was that legal guardians just placed people into the institution and it was all. They were safe and they were like covered by the service. So these were the two main problems. Technically, what happened was that this is what you can see, the new services. As much as possible, they tried to place people in normal settings. So this is in a town. Yes, it works. This you can see. It's not a. It's normal. It's normal house where people live, and only 2 flats are for people with disability from the service. So this is how it worked practically, and the castle was closed as an institution, and it's open for visitors, so you can visit. Yes, this is another part, like more from inside. What you can see here. It's a map that people who came from the castle to a small town, so it was a big change for them, and they started to make a map of their own, how to get oriented in the town, because they were not used to live there. So there you can see where is a church, where you can buy something to eat, and it was like discovering a new island. Or yes, so it was really an adventure for them. And what was also successful in this case, that there was a lot of contacts with community. So here you can see some pictures from the events. Yeah, and this is something like a core of our experiences with the transformation, not only from this castle, but it's in general. And so when we now think about it, because we are supporting other institutions in this process, so we say, okay, it's not easy. There are many pitfalls. Yeah, there are many things that you can make mistakes simply. So this is a very important part of our experience, what didn't work or where we did mistakes. And on the other hand, there are many things that help. So it's one of the conditions is that you have clear commitment from the founder. If there is not this commitment from someone who has power, then it's not. This is a process which is not actually possible to do just from the grassroots. Yes, you need some decision in the beginning. You need a good director, someone who wants to change it. Values are important, because one of the pitfalls is that you only resettle people from a big house to smaller houses, and you treat them the same way. So it's not what you want. Yeah? You want to change approach a little bit. You want to support people to live their lives, to do what they like to do, to go to buy what they like to eat, not to have the same food with all the other people. And yeah, so there are some pitfalls that it's good to know about them. And it's also about how big you make the new houses. Yeah? If you make like a house for 20 people, it's a small institution, and then it's almost impossible to make to approach people individually and to really help them to live their lives. Yeah. When I was trying, I'm still trying. No. Yes, this is it. I asked artificial intelligence to help me to make some pictures illustrating what is needed in or what are the pitfalls and the things that help during this process. So I found a metaphor of a journey, of a voyage, of a sea voyage. Yeah. So here you can see in the beginning you need someone to decide that this voyage will happen. Yeah, that there is some perspective. Then you need a captain, someone who, and you need a team who wants to do this. And there is a lot of pitfalls, of course. So in the sea you can get lost, and it's not so difficult. And then it's very important not to be. This voyage should not be like a lonely voyage. Yeah? So you need other ships. You need to interact with community, not to make another small isolated institutions. And of course you need to celebrate, because it's a very powerful way to, which helps you, because you also need a lot of energy during this process, and you need some support. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to share with you. There are contacts. You can of course approach me by email or here. I'm here, so don't hesitate. And there is, in the afternoon we have a workshop, so if you are interested more, we will speak more in the afternoon, or at noon. I think it starts 12 o'clock. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Pavel is first time in Khmelnytsky, but I think next year we will have some presentation about common things that we did. Наступний наш спікер.
And our next speaker is Petr Nauka. He is the founder of Integra organization in Slovakia. Petr has a global vision of the challenges of mental health, and he will speak about our joint potential in the field of mental health and how to create a healing community.
Yes, thank you so much. I will read my presentation to get not running out of time. Where is, yes. The name is How Our Mental Health Potential Generates a Healing Community. And this presentation reflects the title of the Congress. My aim is to clarify how we can develop our own mental health potential in harmony with the healing potential of our communities. Slide 2 will come, or not?
It's okay.
I'm looking.
You can put the micro maybe to the...
Jak se to robí? Here. I have to go here. Yes.
Все працює, таймер включіть, будь ласка.
Yes. In this presentation, I start with the WHO Service Organization Pyramid for an optimal mix of services for mental health from the year 2003. Most impressive is to see that informal services are the basic requirement of all services, and self-care is at the beginning and leads from there to the top of the pyramid. From there to the top of the pyramid is self-care as well. Here we find the main messages of the pyramid. First, mental health is mostly about self-care. Second, informal services are the basis for the mental health of people in need of services. And third, the service costs are disproportionated to clients' needs. So if you have a look at the next slide, then you can see it more in detail described. It's now 22 years after 2003. And unfortunately, in most democratic countries, the inversion of the pyramid from the feet to the head, with the dominance of formal services over informal services, continues. Whereas Ukraine has other priorities. Let's see, first, priority. Mental health is mostly about self-care. But in democratic countries, still psychiatric and psychotherapy care prevails. In Ukraine, mental wealth is more important than financial. Second, informal services are the basis for the mental health of people in need of services. In democratic countries, the reductionist biomedical focus on disorders does not meet the needs of patients. And in Ukraine, the biopsychosocial approach is promoted by mental health and psychosocial support. And the third one, the service costs are disproportionate to the client's needs. It doesn't matter in the democratic countries that this is not in line with client's needs. Biomedicine doesn't profit from self-care and informal services. It's no profit. Why? To develop self-care. I, as a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, don't gain money for it. Forget it. But in Ukraine, lack of money forces creativity, and thus the findings of better practices. I have been deeply inspired by you, my new Ukrainian colleagues and friends, since we began cooperating in 2022. This has also had a decisive influence on the following life course, which I will now develop step by step, starting with the open life circle in the white fields from 1 to 4. Hereby, I will incorporate my personal experiences as a psychiatrist and psychotherapist, as well as a patient of treatment. Being both in one, I was able to gain a broader perspective on the relevant needs of people in need. There is a big difference between feeling treated as a patient and being accepted as a client. Current psychiatry should be replaced by healing communities. Why? Psychiatry has a future only when it becomes part of community mental health. Life course with open life circle, as you see in the title, there is generating, forming, and framing our mental health potential and our healing community. Or how are patients usually treated? That is on the left side of the cross. And what changes for clients through mental health reforms? Then you become to the right side, to the better side of the cross. So it is mostly about generating, about forming, and about framing. The reform process from being a patient to becoming a client. As a patient, I feel like a disabled object of care. I wish I could be empowered to develop my own potential and recover from my harms. As a psychiatrist, I don't know enough about the longings of my patient. Nevertheless, I think I know best what my patient needs and how I should act. Now we come to the right side of the cross. Here we can see how our world and our lives generate and develop into the right direction. Thus, a co-creative partnership of carers and clients opens the doors to a livelier, healthier, and lovelier world. It means that we are able to generate a more meaningful life in a new world. As a client and a biopsychosocial being, I'm able to open my heart, empower and harmonize my life. I take my life into my own hands by practicing self-care. And please compare point 4 with point 1, especially what is written in red. It's the left side and on the right side. The client is able, and the patient feels like a disabled object of care. So self-care transforms also harm into harmony. Now we've completed our open life circle, but the cross and frame are still empty. We can proceed in the generating, forming, and framing process by becoming to the life cross. At the hub of the cross, there is a generator of our life and world. This generator corresponds to our mental health potential. We all have this generator. We all have inside our mental health potential, just to know it. The right part of the cross shows how we people are co-creatively interacting and inspiring each other, thus forming interpersonal healing relationships. It means that we as a collective are connected with me as an individual in a dyad, and so is point 3 the same as point 4. It is a connection of 3 and 4 through this cross. But this cross continues. After the interpersonal forming process follows the intrapersonal in one person. Intrapersonal, not inter, but intra. Personal in one person. Now I form myself. So from a dyad, we get to a triad, from we with me to myself. And we still are able to grow further. And here at the left part of the cross, what happens? I'm now in a relationship not only with my healing community and with myself, but there's also a mutual relationship with you, my psychiatrist. After interpsychic and intrapsychic forming, there is now the informing process. We formed and informed a tetrad. Concerning my personal post-traumatic stress disorders, It means I'm all in one. I'm a client, I'm a patient, and I'm a psychiatrist on eye level, without feeling like a consumer of treatment. Being also a psychiatrist helped me a lot to connect both perspectives into a biopsychosocial meta perspective. Thus, I became a peer. Peers possess the deepest and most far-reaching experience and perspective. It's surprising that this potential is still so underestimated. Slide 13. Yes, and now at the lower part of the cross we reach the Genesis. Here is more than forming and informing, just more, much more. Here happens the transforming process of our lives and world, where are generated and created new generations of people, but also of new spiritual events. After we inspired each other, we are now able also to transpire each other. This leads to an even more profound perspective. We have now not only a biopsychosocial perspective, but a biopsychosocial spiritual meta perspective or peer perspective. This is the wonder of life, where emerge win-win or plus-plus situations. By enriching myself, I enrich others, and vice versa. By enriching the others, I enrich myself too. This is shown also in point 3, where I added our comprehensive meta or peer perspective. Last but not least, we come to the frame of our lives and world. At the top, we see the relationship between the basic right brain and the later developed left brain. The right one is focusing on the comprehensive biopsychosocial, spiritual, and salutogenetic meta perspective, including its resources and potential strengths. The left brain has rather his one-dimensional psychologic and cytopathogenetic perspective. Looking at the left side, we differentiate between our first-person intrapersonal or psychosomatic perspective and the second-person interpsychic or psychosocial perspective. At the bottom, we are integrating our current situation, where we are now and where we are becoming. For instance, physically, next generations, and mentally, a new spirit. Finally, we are on the right side and connect our individual micro world with our collective community as a macro world. Time is up, yes, I'm coming to my outlook. Instead of being consumers and or objects of people who like to decide how we should live, we could interact different. It's up to us and me to generate a livelier, healthier and lovelier community by carrying forward our mental health potential as the biopsychosocial spiritual beings. Our Ukrainian partners are doing this impressively at a crucial time in our lives and the world. In such meaningful way, a climate is created that makes our world and our communities more healing and peaceful, and our lives healthier and freer. Freedom. Thank you.
Дякуємо, Петр. Наступна наша.
Thank you very much, Peter. And now I would like to give the floor to our next speaker, Oksana Krasnikova. She's a psychologist in the area recovery for Ukrainians. The organization is Liga za duševne zdravje, and we do hope that the project recovery will also help in rehabilitation. Good afternoon.
Colleagues, because I will be speak English, Ukraine, not English. Мене звати Оксана.
My name is Oksana Krasnikova, and I represent the organization Liga za duševne zdravje. This is the Slovak organization that has been working more than 25 years in the area of mental health. So actually, the organization has expertise in this area. I would like to briefly tell you the history of our organization. First of all, the Liga za duševne zdravje, a Liga for mental health, started helping Ukraine from the very first day of full-scale invasion. I'm from Ukraine, I'm from Kharkiv, I'm an IDP, and I know on my personal experience how important support is. Practically from the first days, our organization has organized a crisis helpline, Forget Me Not, it is called, and the psychologists, psychiatrists, and crisis experts were providing assistance to the Ukrainian people 24/7. And I would like to say that this link is still functioning, and it will be functioning till the end of the war. The next big project was the project Ukrainian for Ukrainian. This was a huge project because if you compare Ukraine and the Slovak Republic is actually small. But irrespective of this fact, our organization has done something incredible. It has created this project that involved 130 experts from Ukraine, psychologists, psychotherapists, social workers, pet therapists, 130 experts, 180 different locations. There were also mobile teams. 8 regions of Slovak Republic have been covered, and there was big humanitarian center Habchikovo, where there were about 1,000 Ukrainian refugees staying at a time. First of all, I worked in this humanitarian center Habchikovo, and later I was the coordinator of this big project. The project has been functioning for 2 years, and then we transformed into recovery, into peer-to-peer support group. And we got inspired, and we decided to set up a branch here in Ukraine. But I would like to give you more information about our projects. After U4U and recovery stopped getting funding, people working in those projects didn't stop. They got united, and our organization established a volunteer program in the Slovak Republic. Now this program is very successful. Apart from this, I would like to mention such projects as CHIPS, UNICEF, gender-based violence, and pathways. The majority of those projects were aimed at integration and adaptation of the Ukrainians in Slovakia, in the Slovak Republic. UNICEF has provided psychological consultations to people in need. And as I'm a practicing psychologist who is working with the Ukrainian people, I would say that I provided consultations for about 2,000 hours, and some of the cases were really very difficult. They were suicide cases, anxiety disorders, depressions. And the contribution of this organization, the League for Mental Health, is really important. At the end of 2023, this organization, League for Mental Health, set up the branch in Ukraine, and it worked in Lviv, Dnipro, Odessa, Uzhhorod, and Kharkiv. And we worked with different layers of population. They were peer-to-peer support groups to veterans, to soldiers who were on their way to the front line. There were peer-to-peer groups for teachers, for families who lost their beloved ones, for people who lost everything. This work was really difficult, but it brought really good results. And here and now, I would like to introduce a new program that was launched on the 1st of May. This is Goodwill program. This is a big volunteer program that has been launched in Ukraine. Yesterday, our speakers said that now we are all united by one goal, and this goal is our victory. Therefore, we are in solidarity, we are united. Therefore, all our resources are accumulated, the social ones, psychological ones, financial ones. But when victory comes, there may be a crisis of identity. It may happen that what united us may disunite us, and when we won't have any external enemy, the internal enemy may appear. And therefore, it's necessary to develop a strategy how we are going to help each other. As our speakers have already said, there are only 10% of experts in the area of mental health. Therefore, it is really important that people who would like to be volunteers, who would like to provide such assistance, it's important that they undergo special trainings, because when we help other people, we become stronger ourselves. This Goodwill program actually organizes trainings. It provides support. It provides accompaniment and support to people. And people who will have this training will be competent in the area of mental health and may work in those support groups. The trainings will be conducted by psychologists, psychotherapists, and psychiatrists. And the project has already been in place in Kharkiv, Khmelnytsky, Lviv, and Poltava. And we are going to expand the project on the other cities. This is about scaling up the project. Not about individually, it's about humanity. It's about the word to be. All the Ukrainians are helping, all the Ukrainians are volunteers. We all donate, we all do whatever we can. And the main rule is do not harm. As far as support groups are concerned, the volunteer feels better in the supporting environment, in the environment where his or her self-evaluation and self-realization is supported. So this program will train volunteers and will provide support to volunteers. If certain issues arise, there will be supervision sessions. I have mentioned the key points which are necessary for this program to be successful. And this is regular monitoring. So all the people who would like to be volunteers will have regular meetings and will have to provide regular reports. They will have support of the experts in the areas. There will be supervision sessions. All the volunteer activities will be based on these principles, peer-to-peer, and this is the key topic of our two-day discussion. And if people are willing, they will be able to get additional education. Our organization really values people, all the people. Therefore, we work on the principles such as participation and empathy, also equal rights. All the partners should be equal, and the requirements to the volunteers should be not lower than to those that set to the experts and should not be higher. Therefore, volunteer activities and training modules will be developed on the basis of community needs and volunteer needs. Every volunteer will lead the group he or she is willing to lead. Every volunteer will be working with those layers and groups of population he or she is willing to work with. Volunteers are an inseparable part of our society, and we are trying to enhance their active presence in the area of working with people, particularly those who have mental health issues. Volunteering is not only about helping others, but also the possibility to change one's own life. We are all traumatized. We cannot just remove this trauma from our souls. What we can do is only to rehabilitate. We can make trauma our experience, and we can continue living our best life. Therefore, volunteers are is like a heart that is beating close to you when everything collapses. If you are interested in the program, you may refer to NGO IPSI, and they will provide those trainings to volunteers. If you need some contacts in the other cities of Ukraine, you can also refer to our organization, the League for Mental Health, and we'll provide you with all the information and contacts you need. Thank you very much for your attention, and glory to Ukraine. Thank you very much. So please, if you send a request, we can do recovery program in the communities. And we are a team that likes video, and now we would like to present the video. This video is called Silence. And this video was my summary work in one of the trainings, and this is the synthesis of what we hear from our visitors, from our staff. So we kindly invite you to watch this video. Please. This is the video which is called Silence. When I'm silent, my body begins to speak. You haven't been sitting like that for a long time. Just be here. When something is boiling, it doesn't always mean readiness. Sometimes you need to cool down to understand what you want. When you forget about yourself, the mirror keeps silent. I don't bloom without light. You either. Recovery is not silence. It is a conversation with yourself. And as we are talking about self-help, we also have Joanna's video. It is 30 minutes long, therefore we are going to show it a bit later, but the video will be available at our YouTube channel. And now I would like to give the floor to Natalia. We have quite a big event in the evening. Natalia, are you here? We are all the time trying to bring and organize something interesting as part of our Congress, and today there will be sort of an experiment. Good afternoon, my name is Nata, my name is Victor. We came yesterday from Kyiv and we brought a kind of art or a form of support in times of crisis and in times of war. So this is playback theater. Does anybody know what is playback theater? I see that one person raised his hand. Well, we already have 5 people who know what it is. This is the improvisation theater that plays stories from the life of those who came to this theatrical performance. And today we are going to do it. I will be the moderator of this performance. The performance will take place here in this room at 6:30. And if you want, you may tell your story and you will be able to see how playback theater works and how it helps implement your emotions and your impressions. We do not hear the speaker. Please use the mic. We shall have playback here, and I wanted to know whether you will hear me without the mic. Playback consists of 2 parts, creative and social part. Creative part has great aesthetic value. It's a very effective thing because it may heal with the help of aesthetics, with the help of movements and so on. Social part is about sharing stories. So when a person shares his or her story, a person shares this story with the other people present. You share some feelings, something deep, something that probably you wouldn't share under any other conditions. Therefore, playback has the possibility to heal both with the help of the art and with the help of the other people who make up the community. So we invite you at 3:30. It will be sort of a workshop, a masterclass. We'll tell you the story about playback theater. And in the evening, please come here to have some rest, to breathe out, to listen to your own story and the stories of other people. And we shall also reflect on what has happened today.
And what concerns this evening part, you can invite your relatives, friends, neighbors, anyone who might be interested. We will agree upon a place. It will be somewhere here, definitely, but we will leave the information about the number of the room on the table and also write about it in the group. We have finished somewhere in the middle today, so let us use these 15 minutes for informal communication before the break, and then we will start Jana's recording after the break well, for online users. And I wish everyone well, a good coffee break, and we will meet.
Good time of the day, dear colleagues. I am Jana Javahishvili, clinical psychologist from Georgia, professor at Ilia State University, and chair of the Global Crisis Armed Conflict thematic group that is functional under the umbrella of the Global Collaboration on Traumatic Stress. Let me share my presentation. Here we are. Oops. Yes. So today I will speak about mental health care during ongoing armed conflict. This collaboration is going on within the frame of the global collaboration of traumatic stress, as I told, and you can access the page of the global collaboration via this particular link. And these are the Global Crisis Armed Conflict Thematic Group members. Actually, what global collaboration is about? This is collaboration of the traumatic stress professionals across the globe on the topics of global importance, like you will see here, forcibly displaced people, prevalence of trauma globally, assessment of traumatic stress, treatments across cultures, socio-emotional development within the context of trauma, fair data, shareable data, and global crisis armed conflict. And not only, for example, there is a thematic group which studies global crises related to global warming and other environmental hazards. So our thematic group, you can access it via our website, and this is our webpage. You can read more about our collaboration, and in case you would like to join any of these thematic groups, it's open for collaboration. You are very welcome. You are most welcome to join. Today, actually, I will focus on our work. In particular, two papers are in the process of preparation by our thematic group. One paper is based on a scoping review of the mental health and psychosocial interventions for populations affected by ongoing armed conflict. And another paper, which will be in the focus of my attention today during my speech, that's a position paper of the global collaboration on traumatic stress, on how can we help in the best possible way populations affected by ongoing armed conflict. In this slide, you can see at the left side the guidelines available for mental health and psychosocial care after mass disaster. No matter it's natural disaster or man-made disaster like war. And you can see that we are having here very important guiding documents like Interagency Steering Committee guidelines on mental health and psychosocial care, European Society for Traumatic Stress Studies guidelines, TEDS guidelines, principles of psychosocial support aftermath disaster defined by Stephen Hopeful and his group back in 2007, actually speaking about importance of calming, safety, connectedness, self-efficacy and hope aftermath disaster, and psychological first aid, which again actually is applied aftermath disaster in the situation of relative safety. While we don't have any guiding document on what could be done to support populations' mental health during ongoing threat. And this is exactly the gap which we are trying to fill in within our thematic group, by our thematic group. At the beginning of my presentation, I would like briefly touch upon the difference between the situation aftermath disaster and the situation during ongoing threat. And I actually was allowed by my Ukrainian colleague, 43 years old lady who is mental health professional herself. She spent some months outside Ukraine since the conflict, full-scale invasion started, and then she came back home and she works now, and that's a quote from her letter to me. She writes, things are not very good. Sometimes it's a little bit better, sometimes worse. But I'm holding on, working. I've gotten too used to the air raid alarm that I wake up, turn over, and go back to sleep. Sometimes there will be machine gun fire and air alarms. Attacks happen every night. It's been over a year now. I'm already tired of reading the news about the deaths of civilians. I'm afraid of losing my balance. So, you know the situation very well. You have first-hand information about difference of what is going on aftermath disaster and what is going on during. The system is stressor, though is similar, but still system of stressors during the ongoing disaster is very peculiar because alarms, bombings, air attacks, that's actually this creates difference. Multiple losses related stressors. Of course, they might have place after disaster as well, but during ongoing disaster, that's not only multiple losses, but that's anxiety to lose. Information-related stressors. Information is critically important for survival and keeping going during ongoing threat, while lack of information and complete uncertainty are the most widespread stressors. At the same time, huge information load, for example, via social media, which is often mixed with misinformation and disinformation, also create peculiar stressors. Lack of resource-related stressors. As farther war is going on, as farther deteriorates economic situation. And moral stressors. Witnessing crimes against humanity, violation of social contract from the side of those who should who must take care of the population's well-being, lack of international support or perception of lack of support. All this creates actually acute system of stressors during ongoing threat. There are a lot of publications nowadays. They are arriving constantly, actually, from the Ukrainian authors, researchers, from Israeli researchers, Palestinian researchers, on the prevalence of mental health symptoms during ongoing armed conflicts and on factors influencing these symptoms. I just brought several publications as examples and just a short list of the publications, but there are quite a lot of studies, quantitative studies, trying to highlight prevalent symptoms among war-affected populations. But perhaps not less important, even more important, are qualitative studies and also clinicians' reports, because they give us insight on the dynamic of the mental health needs of the populations. For example, at the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia, clinicians created actually number of social media groups, and they're sharing with each other information. At the beginnings, it was about adjustment focus and survival needs, about elevated anxiety, very actually peculiar symptoms among children, like increased cases of encopresis and enuresis, also both among children and adults, alexithymia related actually symptoms, while at later stages, according to the qualitative research, there is frustration and fatigue related to ongoing threat. So that safety-related complaints, inability of rest-related complaints, economic hardship-related complaints, sleep disturbances, separation from loved ones, and moral exhaustion and fatigue related to all of these. Especially actually problematic are symptoms like explaining own distress as own weakness, which was actually revealed by the recent, more or less recent study. So if we will go further, of course, the symptoms that I listed based on the previous slide are problematic. But some symptoms which are perceived as problematic might be even helpful and might be normal reactions, or let's say natural reactions on abnormal situations that population is going through during ongoing threat. Because, for example, feeling of being guilty is traditionally considered as very risky symptom, which should not be should be addressed. At the same time, having experience of working with the Ukrainian first responders groups in 2022 and 2023, I found out that feeling of being guilty might be very meaningful symptom for during ongoing armed conflict. I remember our discussion in one of the group of the first responders when they started to actually analyze, and they addressed feeling of being guilty and stated that the people who left Ukraine, Ukrainians who left Ukraine and are temporarily abroad, are feeling guilty towards those who stayed in the country which is under threat. Those who live in the western Ukraine are feeling guilty towards those who live in the eastern Ukraine, as eastern Ukraine is more exposed to the threat. Those who live in the eastern Ukraine are feeling guilty towards those who are on the front line, and those who are on the front line and fight are feeling guilty towards those who are killed. And when actually this was articulated and we started together with the group that was emotional support group to try to find meaning of this symptom, it was told that this feeling of guilt unites the nation at the moment. So we should not pathologize particular negative social emotions related symptoms, and we should consider them within the existing context. The same could be said about rage, about angriness, about being angry. It might be a fuel which actually motivates people to keep going and to hope for future, to hope for justice. So it helps to overcome this kind of tunnel vision, which is peculiar to the situation of trauma, and might gives a place to stand to motivate for towards the future, and might be very helpful in the situation of ongoing threat. So I just brought as a metaphor the famous Archimedes phrase, give me a place to stand and a lever long enough and I will move the world. Of course, we are not speaking now about moving the world, but being angry might be very useful in keeping going, which is so important in the situation of ongoing threat. So again, I would like to just to know that we should not pathologize particular negative social emotions during ongoing threat, and need to consider every symptom which appears in the situation of ongoing threat within the context. In this part of my presentation, I would like just to bring some example of the mental health service which functions during ongoing armed conflict for Ukraine. That's the service initiated by the Federation Global Initiative on Psychiatry in collaboration with the Czech National Institute for Mental Health. So the title name of the service is Samopomich. Perhaps some of you are already familiarized with it. So that's a digital mental health service created for Ukrainian war-affected population in need of mental health care. If you would look at this pyramid, at the very basement, you see that self-help via digital support platform Samopomich, which means that self-screening tools are provided for depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, alcohol use, and self-help information like emotional regulation exercises, coping strategy related information, etc., etc. And people who experience distress and who would like to apply some knowledge to self-help and improve own condition, so they are customers of this service, of this information. But in case if it is not enough, then the system, the digital platform refers the customer, the user, to the coordinator who implements triage and assesses at which extent this is a client who corresponds to the mandate of the service. And the mandate of the service is common mental health disorders. and common mental health symptoms like symptoms of depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, etc. So after triage, if the person corresponds to the mandate of the service, he or she, if he or she needs help, is referred to the digital mental health counselor specially trained to provide short-term trauma-informed transdiagnostic counseling. Transdiagnostic methods are having huge potential in addressing public mental health and in helping at the sub-threshold actually stage to prevent further deterioration of mental health. So transdiagnostic methods already accumulated a solid body of evidence showing that they are efficient, effective in addressing depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. Transdiagnostic approach is based on the assumptions that many mental health disorders have many symptoms in common, like emotion dysregulation, like problematic coping strategies, negative coping strategies, like sleep disturbances, social problems, problems in social relationships, etc. So the short-term trauma-informed transdiagnostic counseling is targeting exactly this kind of common problems. In case if situation is improved, mental health condition is improved, the client is discharged. In case the transdiagnostic counseling is not enough, he or she might be referred further for advanced trauma-focused digital counseling. And after trauma-focused digital counseling course, person's mental health is again assessed, and if his or her condition is not improved, they are referred for specialized psychiatric care, or if the condition is improved, they are just discharged. I would like to say that measuring and measurement and assessment is inevitable part of Samopomich service. So measurement assessment is provided at 3 time points: pre-intervention, not only clinical interview, but particular screening tools are applied, screening measurement tools like for depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and life quality, mental health life quality is assessed. Post-intervention assessment immediately after intervention is delivered, and after the treatment is ended, 3 months follow-up assessment is also implemented. So if you are interested in reading about Samopomich service, you can actually read this publication in Lancet Psychiatry. You can find the link in my presentation. I would like to add 2 things actually. One thing is that Samopomich service developed, and it has not only website but also Telegram channel, Facebook and Instagram pages, and recently we introduced also mobile app. Another thing is that that's already actually not so new article. Now we are working on the article, and hopefully we'll submit it soon, which is focused on assessment of effectiveness of Samopomich service. And the difference between pre and post-intervention assessment shows that there is a statistically significant improvement of mental health outcomes post-intervention. So symptoms of depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder are decreased, and the mental health life quality is increased according to the assessment. And the 3-month follow-up assessment shows even further improvement of mental health outcomes. This is why we actually can states that subopioid service is a promising service in terms of effectiveness during ongoing armed conflict. But of course, I am aware, very well aware, that dear colleagues, especially you who are listening to my speech, I know that you are piloting and working on a regular, piloting innovative interventions and working on a regular base with your clients, and I know how creative you are and how efficient you are. So the traumatic stress community of professionals in the different countries are just waiting for your know-hows to be shared. So please measure pre-intervention, post-intervention, follow-up, conditions of your clients to publish your innovations and to share with the world. It will be huge resource for the traumatic stress community. Just to summarize, actually, what I was talking about, insights on how to provide mental health care during ongoing armed conflict. First of all, different needs at different stage of the ongoing armed conflict should be addressed based on the actually studies which show us, reveal different needs. Public health approach should be implied, not only mental health conditions and syndromes should be addressed, but distress and symptoms, mental health symptoms and subthreshold conditions should be addressed to prevent further deterioration of health condition. Aims and targets of preventative interventions should be actually reducing distress, strengthening problem-solving skills, and coping skills, and supporting thus resilience. Tolerance towards uncertainty needs to be addressed, as well as meaning making of the traumatic experiences. Again, I would like to repeat that in the situation of ongoing armed conflict, 2 times 2 is not always 4. That's a metaphor to say that negative social emotions like guilt, like rage, actually other symptoms like blaming, etc., might be helpful in the situation of ongoing threat and should not be pathologized and should be considered within the symptoms they are presented, within the context they are presented. Transdiagnostic approach, very promising. Its potential is huge. It makes sense and it's worthy to apply it and to use its advantages. There are a lot of questions about effective treatment of stress-related disorders during ongoing threat. And therefore, measurement-based care should be implied, which means that pre-intervention, post-intervention, and follow-up assessment is very important. This is why research must be encouraged, supported, research capacity building and incorporating research into any intervention you are implementing. Local research capacity should be built. Let us measure what we are doing. Let us measure our innovative approaches, and this will create background to share them and to convince the field of traumatic stress that they do work. And I am sure that what you are doing, it's very interesting, very promising, and worth to share. And I wish you success in your all your professional endeavors. I wish you success in your professional life, personal life, and I wish Ukraine victory and peace. Україна переможе. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hatsky Hubak and Natalia the invitation to participate in the 3rd International Congress, Building Mental Health Services in Communities, which will be held in Khmelnytsky. I don't know how to pronounce exactly. Just after the beginning of the Russian war with Ukraine, I was invited by the Canadian journal, San Public, to comment on a letter written by Daria Dibrov, an Odessa school teacher. My commentary title was Choosing to Live, Choosing to Dream, Choosing to Survive, War and Peace in Ukraine. 2 years after my small contribution to the situation that Ukrainian people, families, children, and soldiers under the leadership of the brave and unflagging Volodymyr Zelensky are daily facing, I think about Freud's words in Narcissism and Introduction, when he says that the essence of human nature, Leben and Arbeiten, love and work, Daria's wish to live, love, and work with her young students and family personifies the wishes of so many Ukrainian people in their hometowns or in forced exile. So here I am today, bringing you glimpses of hope by presenting the work with large groups, wishing you better times, love, peace, and reconstruction of the beauties that you have. Introduction. The 21st century has revealed acute dimensions of personal and social suffering. Moreover, things changed dramatically in the political scenario, and polarization between the right and the left divide more and more people. Fundamentalist thinking, populism, nationalism left no doubt that in fragmented and polarized social world, democratic leadership is being challenged by authoritarian leadership. The debate also highlights the transgenerational psychic transmissions of traumas that the populations experienced during the 20th century and other centuries. So Ukraine has a long history of battles, affirmation of its culture, its society. So it's a struggle that persists for many, many centuries. These observations, they show unexpected contours for the 21st century. We don't know what will happen. We really don't know what will happen. And I do hope that a good solution or the best as possible solution for Ukraine will be achieved. Today's society expects professionals, especially in human sciences, but also in mental health, as in this Congress, to take a stand on issues concerning the relationships between individuals, groups, and society, and on topics related to violence, racism, forced immigration, collective traumas, and politics of identity and exclusion. Psychoanalytic and group professionals seem to be engaged in this endeavor, making use of transdisciplinary approaches to face the challenges by individuals in social relations. Fuchs' new epistemology for persons and their contexts. The first half of the 20th century was shaped by two world wars. The First World War revealed the effects of trauma on the human psyche through traumatic neurosis. In 1918, just after the First World War, there was a conference on psychoanalysis where Ferenczi, Abrams, Zimmer, and Freud discussed more traumatic neurosis. Their texts show the interference of the social context in the development of neurosis. Their findings did not lead to immediate changes in psychoanalytic theory, conserving the importance of the social context in psychic illness. Today we have no doubt, as you see, in the whole context. World War II revealed new facets of traumatic neurosis and different forms of somatic illness and psychological stress that predominated among soldiers and victims, demanding new forms of psychological intervention that could take into account the connection between persons and their context. From 1942 to 1946, at the Northfield Hospital in English, two revolutionary experiments with group became the cradle of new approaches to group work, such as group analysis, group relations, therapeutic communities, social psychiatry, and social therapy. The first experiment connected to John Rickman and Bion work with leaderless group led to the establishment of the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations. It's a very important center in London. The second experiment relates to the development of therapeutic communities and to Fuchs' approach to small group work, leading to the creation of group analysis. Still in Germany, before moving to England in 1933, Fuchs was influenced by the intellectual effervescence of 1920s and 1930s. He was in contact with Kurt Goldstein's holistic approach to neurology. He treated soldiers in the First World War. Ademar Gelb's psychological analysis, Gestalt psychology, and Norbert Elias sociology. As a psychoanalyst, he was close to Freudian psychoanalysis and Freudo-Marxist movement, and to the Institute of Social Research in Frankfurt. However, it's not easy to determine the impact these early influences exerted on Fuchs' thinking. However, for 1940s on, Fuchs' groundbreaking work replaced the modern dichotomies between individual and society with a new epistemology that conferred value to the intrinsic relationality of human beings. Through group analysis, Fuchs revealed that the old juxtaposition of an inside and outside, constitution and environment, individual and society, fantasy and reality, body and mind, and so on, and unattainable. This new perspective allowed Fuchs to distance from classic psychoanalysis by highlighting individuals' persons as part of a network of interactions and communications. For Fuchs, when personnel meet in a group, a new phenomenon is created, allowing for the emergence of transpersonal processes, that is, mental processes like X-rays in the bodily sphere go right through the individuals composing such a network. It means that when you are in a group, some experiences and feelings and ideas are in a way transmitted to the other without words. So it's something that a climate that you feel or you not feel. After this finding, folks started thinking in terms of transpersonal networks, moving in the direction of the idea of group matrix as a unified mental field. The concept of matrix, while encompassing the multiple relational perspectives of what happens in groups, is defined as the hypothetical web of communication and relationships in a given group. Is the common shared ground which determines the meaning and the significance of all events, and upon which all communications and interpretations, verbal and nonverbal, rest. The group matrix is at the center of communication in groups. It's not easy. Only to think in terms of basic all mental process, but it's important to think in terms of internal relationships in the groups. So this is the matrix. The concept of matrix evolved, and two more concepts were created: the foundation matrix and the dynamic matrix. The foundation matrix, as Fuchs says, it's possible to claim a firm pre-existing community or communion between the members, founded eventually on the fact that they are all human. They have the same qualities as a species, the same anatomy and physiology, and also perhaps archaic traces of ancient experiences. This pre-existing and relatively and static part we call the foundation matrix. On the top of this, there are various levels of communication, which are dynamic. They develop under our eyes. This is called the dynamic matrix. In between are levels, which, in accord with the opinion of the observer, are determined either more biologically or more culturally. The dynamic matrix refers to organization of different types of groups found in social work. In turn, the concept of foundation matrix describes the social organization of a given society or nation state, based not only on its particular habitus and communicational patterns, but also on other dimensions, such as biology, body, language, culture, education, socioeconomic structures, power relations, and class. In addition, albeit in a rudimentary form, Fuchs advances the idea of a personal matrix by stating that just as the individual's mind is a complex of interacting process, mental process interacts in the concert of the group. The personal, dynamic, and foundation matrices allow us to understand the matrix concept as a multi-relational and multi-dimensional process. By intertwining the personal matrix of the subject with the dynamic matrix of a certain grouping or institution of belonging in the context of a certain society, multidimensional perspective emerges, allowing the exploration of socially unconscious process in small, medium, and large groups. Another important concept is the concept of social unconscious. But I think that it's too much to talk today. We started with a certain delay, so I will ask the translators to jump to the next session, which is large group work in group analysis. Okay? It's possible.
Okay. Так, вибач, Карла. Excuse me. Yes, now we will speak about your tema about large group.
Yes, that's it, because I want to spend more time with it. Okay. The transformative context of 1960s and 97s conferred a new zeitgeist for the development of the analytic group in England. The impetus inherited from the Northfield experiments combined with new social-cultural perspectives favored innovations in healthcare that led to advances in group work, especially the development of large groups. So in 1965, at a Hollywick hospital in London, Lionel Krieger and Patrick DeMatti established a new culture in war and community meetings, starting in 1966 to convene large groups. In its early days, large group work was underdeveloped and not integrated into one single perspective. Members of the Group Analytic Society were working in large groups in hospital settings, as day hospitals, wards, therapeutic communities, and community meetings. However, we ask, what is a large group? What are its aims? Does it have therapeutic functions? What is the optimal number of participants? All these questions require careful investigation. However, it's clear that participation in large groups provide a new and wider dimension of personal experience, uncovering aspects of human relationships that cannot be easily found or are hidden in small group processes. It means that when you are in a large group, face-to-face with several people that you don't know, you understand more things about yourself, but by the way you behave when you are in the middle of a large number of persons, but also about the institution that you are inserted, and also about the country that you have, because the problems of the country come into the large groups. So the literature on the topic differs about the optimal number of persons in a large group. The number in small groups, the number fluctuates between 7 to 12 participants. But in large groups, it can involve 30, but more likely between 50 to 100 or more. However, depending on the number of participants, a group can no longer be face-to-face, and the large group situation cannot be encompassed by any of its members in a single glance. In this sense, depending on the size of a large group, the possibility of developing face-to-face interactions decreases and precludes intimacy, identifications, or bonding, engendering indifference, anonymity, and alienation. So it is more difficult to work and to be in a large group. However, as Fuchs inquires, when does a group become large? Nobody knows. The ideal number of participants in a large group is difficult to determine. This issue also relates to the group's ecology, which may or not contribute to creating an optimal setting for conducting large groups. The size and acoustic properties of the room, the layout of the chairs, elevated or not, arranged in concentric circles or in spiral, interfere with hearing, seeing, interacting, and noting other participants. If a large group is arranged in concentric circles, it increases closeness among participants. In contrast, participants sitting with their backs on the others may produce ambivalence, false hierarchies, and paranoid anxieties. In 1975, Krieger edited the first collection of articles on large groups, in which different pioneers offered a broad and deep searching analysis of the first attempts to work with large groups. The eclecticism of their contributions is fascinating. However, they reveal a confusion concerning the definition of a large group, its purpose, its optimal size, the ecology of the setting, the role of the conductor and convener, as well its therapeutic value. Pines provided an overview of the powerful and unknown forces that were at stake in early explorations in large groups. Large groups have powerful force and a potential use for either good or evil. Although developed for creative interactions, thinking, and change, large groups tended towards massive projections, fragmentation, scapegoating, and exclusion processes. The group analytic group, large group, explores the psychodynamics of artificially created large groups as transitory and non-institutionalized systems in training institutes, group analytic conferences, and workshops, and today in Ukraine. Constructed large groups offer opportunities for the study of regression, primary processes, and early phases of unconscious life. Participation in large groups refers to the self-study and contributes to broadening the understanding of oneself, enabling persons to learn from experience about socially unconscious processes, co-created through intrapersonal, interpersonal, and transpersonal interactions. Moreover, in large groups, we observe the emergence of power relations, struggles for leadership, polarization, and subgroup. Inspired by Greek amphitheaters, where a large number of persons interact, Pademare glimpsed large group interactions. His perspective of large group is connected to the principle of koinonia, which refers to development of impersonal fellowship, a culture of togetherness and amenity in community. A large group offers a structure or a medium for linking the inner world with social cultural dimensions in which interpersonal relationships take place. It provides a setting to bridge the gap between ourselves and the social cultural environment in a way that a small group simply cannot do. In this direction, large group work points to the possibility of humanizing society and developing citizenship and dialogue, which I think is fundamental for Ukraine today. Constructed large groups trigger strong emotions and frustrate libidinal needs by eliciting primitive anxieties, defenses, and psychotic mechanisms that range from threats to identity to panic and hate in the face of the unknown. However, and almost paradoxically, large group work creates safe spaces for collective self-reflection, transforming the unconscious collective processes into new forms of thinking and dialogue for persons and communities. Large group work is a theoretical and technical research tool to broaden the contemporary understanding of the psychodynamics of persons when gathered in large numbers. It helps to examine the dynamic of organizations and socially unconscious process that I can speak about in another occasion. Second generation of group analysts were traumatized by fascism and World War II, but embedded into the transformative context of the 60s and 70s, they were willing to create new therapeutic possibilities through the large group work. They cherished the idea of co-creating surface spaces that would contribute to prevent new forms of fundamentalist thinking. As Damaris said, the only answer to mass violence is collective dialogue. Perhaps Damaris' assertion epitomizes that generation socially unconscious, which materialize in group analysis through large group projects. Their motivations were influenced by the desire, and I think that Irina has this desire, Irina, Natalia also has desire, to use large groups to encourage democratic thinking, peer leadership, and mature citizenship. The large group is also slowly an instrument to treat transgenerational wounds. In large groups, it's possible to get in contact with what's unconsciously transmitted, denied, or encapsulated, facilitating the working through of collective traumas and intergroup conflicts in the social-political complex. The Survival Syndrome workshop conducted by Earl Hopper and others in 1979 was a pioneering initiative in group analysis and large group work with traumatized persons. The endeavor was in consonance with the first psychoanalytic efforts that from 90s on investigate traumatic experiences and their working through processes aiming to interfere with and treat the effects of transgenerational psychic transmissions. The experience undertaken at the Survival Syndrome workshop revealed that large groups tend to recapitulate, to enact social unconscious process that exist in the society as a whole. Equivalent and parallel process allow for the observations of what happens in the past and the present. It means that, for example, what happens in the societal level also happens in similar ways, styles of relationship in the dynamic of organizations and institutions. And it also happens in the personal levels. For example, if the leadership of the country have some rules and some styles of being and conducting the country, it is reproduced in organizations and institutions, and it can be also reproduced in families. I think that you understand this well. Josef Schacket's work is an Austrian person, worked with transcultural large groups in Austria, Germany, and Ukraine. You know him from Ukraine, probably you have something published that he wrote. He is fantastic. And after the end of the Cold War, as well, was also important because it allowed the confrontation with different cultural norms and social political processes, enabling the working through of collective rules. From 1980s, the association between collective trauma and large group work forged new fields of investigations and research on socially unconscious processes. With the emergence of COVID-19, people started to conduct and convene large groups online. We don't know exactly what happens, but this new framework transformed theory and technique. However, it's not possible to define yet in which ways these new perspectives will represent significant changes, or a new kind of large group work is being considered. How much time I still have?
Carla,
Carlo, it depends on you, on the way how you speak, because now you have a bit more time. We were in the shelter. There was an air raid alarm, and therefore we are listening to you as long as you speak.
I understand. So I think that I can jump the part of conducting and convening large groups and to the next session, because this part is more specific and you have the test in Ukrainian. So I will put large groups today. Okay? Can you jump to this?
Okay. Do you hear us?
Large is the last session. Okay. Large group today. Large group work was born in a post-war inspiring moment when horizontal and democratic relations were fostered and idealized. However, the 21st century brought disillusionment regarding civilization. We are facing strongly traumatic experiences, disenchantment with politicians, and the barbarism of the current wars, and I really feel deeply in my heart, and I cannot really imagine what you are going through, because it's beyond my comprehension. So I feel deeply sorry. And the polarization that crosses personal, organizational, and societal relations are deeply transforming the relationship with personal, dynamic, and foundation matrices. The work in large groups is affected by enactment of traumatic experiences present in the unconscious life of groups. That is, equivalence process mirror the power relations that takes place in the outside world, updating social unconscious processes that exist in various contextual societies, which, as traumatic experience not yet worked through, resonate in personal and dynamic matrices, interactions, as well in constructed large groups. Large group interactions can shift from a constructed space for collective self-reflection and dialogue to an enactment of thoughtless behavior of crowd demonstrations or to enactment of clashes between different social or national groups. Thus, given the contemporary hardships for some, the idea of working with large groups leads to ambivalence and disbelief at the possibility of using the large group as a tool to transform relationships among a large number of persons. However, I believe that through group work, large groups, coordinated by skilled conveners, it's possible to get in contact with what was socially unconsciously transmitted, denied, and encapsulated, enabling the working through of collective traumas and repairing some intergroup conflicts in the social political context. The idea of learning from experience in large groups seems to be just a little sparkle of togetherness amidst the uncertain fellowship witnessed today. Yet, the fraternal collective longings populate and renovate our conscious and unconscious yearnings for a better life in society. And this is what I wish strongly from my heart from Ukrainians. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the great lection. And we have a question.
Does anyone has a question?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. We have question about yesterday discussion in large group.
Yes.
We have two position or two situation for Ukrainian people. Fragile we are. Fragile we are. And strong we are. And how we can be with to this
Ambivalence, no?
Yes.
Yes. I think this
Ambivalence.
is ambivalent. I think that the question is, are you fragile? Yes. At the moment, you are strongly fragile because you are under a terrible war. You already lost, I don't know if it will be permanent, but you already lost a huge amount of territory to Russia, and for centuries you are a farmer. I don't know the name in English. The grains, your soil is so rich that everybody wants it, no? Wants to take your land. So you in this regard, you are fragile because you are victim of a strong war and invasions, and I cannot imagine how many persons died and how the families are affected. It's a terrible, ugly, painful war. However, I think that the strength that you have not giving up, the strength that Zelensky presents in the negotiations with Trump yesterday. It was an important day. I don't know exactly what happened afterwards, but it's your strength. So everybody in the whole world, we see the combination of your fragility, and many people are identified with this fragility because they also feel in their private lives fragile, but also admire the courage of your resistance because you resist. And I think that this is from a broad perspective, from a foreign perspective. If you take in account the hardships that you were facing daily, the huge number of people who are displaced, who had lost, I thought it was 20 million of people who was forced to leave Ukraine. And we understand the fragility. I understand how the families are being affected, how children are being affected, how everybody is being affected. But you are resisting, and you already in your history resisted many times. So this is a new chapter of strong challenges for you. So if I think that you are fragile and strong at the same time.
Thank you for your support.
Can you speak louder?
Carlo, мене звати Наталя.
Carla, my name is Natalia, and I would like to thank you for a great lecture. I have basic education and group analysis. That is why I was very delighted to listen to your well-structured lecture.
Could you repeat a bit the beginning of your speech, because I couldn't put the translation on. So I'm saying you are delighted with the say something more about what you felt about the lecture. Okay.
Well, I started by introducing myself. My name is Natalia, and I have, well, some basic education in group analysis, and thank you very much for this great opportunity to listen to such a well-structured and deep lecture. It was a pleasure for me, so thank you very much. And my question is as follows. From your own practice, does it happen frequently that you work with large analytical group? And does it happen only in professional psychological circles, or do you manage to have analytical groups in other environments and in other formats? Thank you.
I work with groups for 38 years. I started my training 38 years ago. So in my country, there wasn't large groups, only small groups in private practice and in institutions, hospitals and societies. When I joined the Group Analytic Society, there are many large groups in conferences. And so I have some experience with large group in conferences, and I also became fascinated when I arrived for the first time in London. I was fascinated by the power and of the large group. So I decided to study it. It happened 20 years ago. And I think that, for example, the Scandinavians, and in Norway, we have a colleague, Tor Christian Island, that he convened for more than 20 years weekly large groups in hospitals, where the director of the hospital was together with the cleaning staff. So it was possible for them to discuss the difficulties of the group, of the work. And also in Belgrade, I experienced several works in large groups with the community. And for me, this is a marvelous goal for us to discuss among people. And I'm mostly, Natalia, I'm very satisfied that finally I can hear you in a good way. Today in the morning, early in the morning, I had to fix this stove that I couldn't use in advance yesterday. So I'm sorry for yesterday, but I'm glad that today we are going to experience different styles of different possibilities at a large group. So thank you, Natalia.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have time in our large group and 16 p.m.
Yes. 16:30, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Exactly. And we will have the experience to talk about. Yes. Probably there are some doubts about what I said, some more doubts about what I said. How much time we still have? Now it's finished.
Well, it's time to finish already.
Okay. That's good, because I decided to jump a bit because we started a bit late. So I jumped. But you have the transcription, so you will be able to read. So Natalia, please ask them the text, okay? Thank you. Thank you so much. And I wish you much, much, much luck in this forthcoming time.
Дуже дякуємо.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your kind wishes. We really hope they will come true. And I would like to thank everyone who stayed until the end. In the beginning of the Congress, we promised a surprise, a short video about what has been happening over these 2 days. So we invite you to watch this video. Mental health is about being resourceful and helping oneself and other people. I expect to have good emotions and also learn new resources which will be useful for us in our center. I really look forward to hear a lot of interesting information here, to gain interesting experience, great participants, great workshops, and of course our situation in the country is difficult, so mental health is very important for us. That's why I expect to hear a lot of interesting things. We are presenting our new project. And we have therapeutic sessions. During this Congress, I gained new knowledge and new emotions. I really liked the professionalism of trainers. The important topics were working with families of those injured in action and killed in action and families of veterans. This is the information we really need, and it gives us the opportunity to support our veterans, to support their families. I'm a soldier, and I am a speaker here. I share my experience, and I'm learning how to work with people, especially with patients who have chronic pain syndrome. So these are both veterans and those who are serving in the army right now. I cannot express how important the topics are, because this is about everyday life and about our relations. Everything happening in our lives is related to our mental health, and we are going to face many challenges because of all the situation we live in, and our children also are facing many challenges, and we need to pay attention to that, because our mental health has just definitely changed. And we can't say how, but it has changed. Participation in the International Congress is very important and interesting for me, because I have an opportunity to listen about the experience of experts from Europe, and I listened about various techniques we can use. I have many impressions. I'm still processing all the information. Mental health, it's about resilience, it's about confidence, and about the wish to create something for the future.
Дякуємо всім, але це
Thank you, everyone. And at 6:30, we are waiting to see you for a playback performance. Some of you went to the poster class, but performance is for everyone. So this is an opportunity to communicate with you in a different way. So welcome. Thank you.